Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are entering the most dramatic and unforgettable act of William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar Act 3. This is the turning point of the entire play. This is where ambition, betrayal, patriotism, and manipulation explode on the stage of Rome. In this act, Caesar is assassinated. Brutus makes the most controversial decision of his life. And Mark Antony delivers one of the greatest speeches in English literature, a speech that changes the fate of Rome forever. So, as we begin Act 3, ask yourself one question. Was Caesar killed for the good of Rome or for personal ambition? Let's now set into the Roman Senate and witness history unfold. So let's see the overall idea of what is happening in Act 3. Students, Act 3 is the most important act in Julius Caesar. It is the climax of the play where Julius Caesar is assassinated. This act shows the fall of Caesar, the tragic mistake of Brutus, and the rise of Antony as a master manipulator. From this act onwards, the fate of the conspirators is sealed. So here begins the summary of Act 3, Scene 1. Let me introduce the setting and characters that present in the scene. Scene 1 takes place outside the capital in Rome. A huge crowd has gathered in the street. Important characters like Caesar, Brutus, Cassius, Antony, the soothsayer, and Artemidorus are present. This scene prepares us for the tragic event that are about to unfold. So let's move to the next slide. Here we can see how Caesar ignores the warnings. As Caesar sees the soothsayer, he reminds the soothsayer that the ides of March are come. The soothsayer answers, "A Caesar, but not gone." And this is the first warning to Caesar. Then second warning is from the side of Artemidorus. Artemidorus tries to warn Caesar through a letter revealing the conspiracy, but he replied to Artemidorus that what touches him personally shall be read last of all, and Caesar refuses to read it, showing his arrogance and overconfidence. Next, beginning of the conspiracy. A senator named Populus whispers something to Caesar which briefly frightens the conspirators, but their fears are put aside as Populus smiles and Caesar's face does not show any fear or anger. As planned, Trebonius leads Antony away, leaving Caesar defenseless. Caesar enters the capital alone and sits on the gilded chair unaware of his fate. So let's see what's happened inside the capital. Metellus Imber kneeled before Caesar and pleads for his brother's pardon. Caesar refuses proudly and compares himself to the northern star, claiming he is firm and unchangeable. This moment clearly reveals Caesar's tragic flaw. Students, please note about this particular point. If a question comes as the characterization of Caesar, you have to mention this. Assassination of Caesar. The conspirators slowly surround Caesar. Metellus pulls Caesar's toga. Toga means what? A loose flowing outer garment worn by the citizens of ancient Rome. And Casca strike the first blow. So who strike Caesar at first? Casca stabs Caesar in the neck. So please note down this for your MCQ. Okay. One by one, all the conspirators stab Caesar. When Brutus stabs him, Caesar cries, "Et tu, Brute," then falls Caesar. Et tu, Brute means you too, Brutus. He falls dead at the foot of Pompey's statue. Next, let's see what happened after the murder of Caesar. Rome is thrown in chaos. Citizens run in fear, not understanding what has happened. Cinna declares that Caesar's death has brought liberty and freedom, but instead of peace, Rome descends into confusion and terror. Antony's strategy begins here. Antony, shocked and heartbroken, he later sent a servant to the conspirators asking why Caesar was killed. This marks the beginning of Antony's clever plan for revenge. From this moment, the conspirators' downfall begins. Brutus assures Antony of his safety. Antony returns, pretending to accept Caesar's death. Antony shakes hands with all the conspirators, hiding his true feelings. This shows Antony's political intelligence and self-control. Brutus' greatest blunder. Antony requests permission to speak at Caesar's funeral. Cassius strongly opposes this idea, but Brutus overrules him, believing Antony will not harm them. This decision proves to be Brutus' greatest mistake. Antony alone with Caesar's body. When left alone, Antony mourns over Caesar's body. He apologizes for pretending friendship with the conspirators. Antony predicts civil war, bloodshed, and destruction. across Rome. This particular point is very important. Read your textbook and learn that session. This speech reveals Antony's true emotions and intentions. Next, about the arrival of Octavius. Octavius' servant comes and informs Antony that of his master's arrival. Antony advises him to stay away until the situation is safe. He then plans to carry Caesar's body to the marketplace. Here comes the end of the summary of scene 1. Let's move to scene 2. Scene 2 takes place in the forum, a public meeting place. The citizens are angry and confused about Caesar's death. Brutus and Cassius decide to address the crowd separately. Brutus' speech. Brutus speaks logically and calmly. He claims he loved Caesar but loved Rome more. He justifies the murder by calling Caesar ambitious. The crowd believes him and even wants to crown Brutus king. Next is Antony begins his speech. Antony begins his speech with the famous words, "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears." He claims he has come to bury Caesar, not praise him. He repeatedly calls Brutus an honorable man. Next is Antony's appeal emotion. Antony reminds the crowd of Caesar's kindness. He talks about how Caesar filled the Roman treasury and wept for the poor. He questions whether these actions show ambition. Slowly, the crowd begins to doubt Brutus. Antony pauses dramatically. Why he pauses? What is the purpose of that pause? He wants the crowd to think about themselves and hints at Caesar's will. He refuses to read it at first, increasing curiosity in the mind of the crowd. The crowd becomes restless, emotional, and angry. This is the turning point of the speech. Next point is Caesar's mantle and will. Antony shows Caesar's blood-stained cloak and name each wound and the name of the conspirators who have done that. He then reads Caesar's will. Each citizen receives 75 drachmas and Caesar leaves his garden for public use. The crowd is now completely furious. The crowd turns into a violent mob. They seize benches, chairs and place them on top of each other to make a fire, and they place Caesar's body on it. They rush to attack the house of the conspirators. Antony declares that he has let mischief loose. And this is how scene 2 ends. Octavius arrives in Rome. Brutus and Cassius flee the city in fear. Antony is satisfied knowing he has won the people's support. Power has now shifted completely to Antony. Now let's move to the last scene of Act 3. In scene 3, Cinna the poet is on his way to Caesar's funeral. The angry mob stops him and questions him. When he says his name is Cinna, the mob mistakes him for a conspirator. Even after Cinna explains that he is a poet, not a conspirator, the mob kills him. They claim it is because of his bad words. More than that, the reason is his name is Cinna. This scene highlights the madness and cruelty of mob mentality. Now let's discuss the importance of Act 3. Act 3 shows the tragic flaw of the characters. Caesar falls because of pride, Brutus falls because of idealism, Antony rises because of intelligence and oratory. This act proves how words can be more powerful than swords. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe this channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon because I will be uploading Julius Caesar revision classes and live sessions before your exam. Turn on notifications so you don't miss them. If you find this class helpful, please share it with your friends. Thank you and all the best.